On August 15, 1947, we attained independence. Alongside, the great ancient land of Bharat was partitioned on communal lines. On the one hand, when the Congress leadership and the Muslim leadership were preparing themselves for independence and taking over the rulership, British colonialists led by Lord Mountbatten were trying to execute the India's Independence Act hurriedly. Many parts of Akhand Bharat were witnessing riots, mayhems, murders and inhuman crimes against women. Gandhiji was taking tours in eastern parts of Bharat. The second Sarsangh Chalak of Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, Shri Golwalkar Gurji, was travelling in the western part, which constitute Pakistan now. RSS was running many refugee camps. Muslim League leaders were busy not just preparing for Pakistan, but also instigating communal frenzy mobs on the ground. A book by researcher and author Shri Prashant Pol tried to put together developments of this fortnight of August 1947 in his book, which is one of the best sellers, called Wo 15 Din, which is translated as Those 15 Days. This year, Organiser is taking you through the developments of those 15 days, going through the most happening 15 days towards Bharat's independence alongside the communal partition will provide new insights to the viewers and inspire them to take up research on various aspects of conversations, communications and negotiations, as well as the kind of communal frenzy things happening on the ground about India's independence and the great partition of this land. August 4, 1947. It was a Monday. Viceroy Lord Mountbatten's day in Delhi started a bit early. The air in Delhi was humid. The sky was cloudy. Yet it did not rain. It was like overcast all along. Overall, the atmosphere was quite lazy. Lord Sahib had only 11 nights before relinquishing his responsibility in the true sense. Of course, he would stay in India even after that as the first Governor General of India. But that was not any special responsibility. Everything would have fallen on the shoulders of Indian leaders by then. However, the next 11 days and nights were to be under his control. Every good and bad thing during this time would be attributed to him, and consequently to the British Empire. That was why this responsibility was huge, and so was the concern. The first meeting in the morning was regarding the province of Balochistan. So far, this entire province was under the undisputed British control, that is, under British rule. This region bordering Iran was Muslim dominated. Therefore, it was a foregone conclusion that this province would go to Pakistan. But here was the real catch. The wavelength of Baloch people never matched with the pro-Pakistani Muslims in Punjab and Sindh. Balochis had their own culture. They had their own language, and it was quite similar to that of Iran's Baloch people. This Baloch language did have a glimpse of Avesta language which resembled Sanskrit. Therefore, joining Pakistan was not the first option for them. Some of them wanted to merge with Iran, but then Iran was ruled by Shia Muslims while the Balochis were Sunni Muslims. Thus, this option was ruled out. There was also a stream that advocated merging with India, and some leaders supported that also. However, this option also fell into obscurity on the pretext that geographical continuity was not possible due to Sindh and Punjab being in between. Deliberations ran on just two options: whether they could stand as an independent nation or merge with Pakistan. That day's meeting was in the same context. Balochistan's Khan of Kalat, Mir Ahmadiyar Khan and Muhammad Ali Jinnah were present in the meeting. Since Jinnah was to go to Karachi on August 7, the meeting was held in the morning as per his convenience. During the meeting, Mir Ahmadiyar Khan posed many queries over the future of Pakistan. There were many questions. Mountbatten's interest lay in their being merged with Pakistan because he would have much difficulty in transferring power among smaller individual nations. And so, when Muhammad Ali Jinnah was going overboard and making promises to Mir Ahmadiyar Khan, Mountbatten was supporting Jinnah despite knowing the hollowness of some of those promises. However, although Mir Ahmadiyar Khan appeared a bit inclined towards Pakistan in this 1.5-hour meeting, he did not announce his last decision, and this meeting ended undecided. Elsewhere in faraway Punjab, in the Lalpur district, terrorism had started to show its influence. Lalpur, a fertile district and rich and affluent also, with plentiful cotton and abundant wheat. Because of cotton, many cotton mills and factories have sprung up in this district. Many mills of flour and sugar were present. Places like Lalpur, Gojra, Tandenwala and Jaranwala had big grain markets. And all this trade, these mills, factories and markets lay in the hands of Hindus and Sikhs only. Hindus and Sikhs owned 60 joint stock companies while the Muslims had just 2. The Sikhs had more than 75% of the land in the district and were paying 80% of the total agricultural tax. In 1946, the Hindus and Sikhs had paid rupees 61,90,000 in taxes, while the Muslims paid only rupees 5,30,000. So when the news started arriving that the district would be included in Pakistan and leaflets of Muslim League started surfacing, the Hindu and Sikh traders did not take them seriously. Even though the Deputy Commissioner of the district was Hamid, a Muslim, he was impartial in his demeanor. Therefore, none thought that there would be any trouble here. On Monday, August 4th, a meeting of the Muslim National Guard was on way in Jaranwala district. Serious discussions were going on as to how to get rid of Hindu Sikh traders and farmers and confiscate their properties before August 15th. The Muslim National Guard functionary from Lahore emphasized on lifting Hindu girls. Thus, it was decided to carry out multi-pronged attack. It was also decided to attack the local mill owner's house at midnight. Within 3 weeks from there, almost all Hindus and Sikhs in Lalpur district were to be forced to abandon their wealth, prosperity, house and belongings and reduced to live like paupers in refugee camps, deprived of even a slice of bread. half of the Hindus and Sikhs were to be hacked to death and thousands of Hindu girls were to be abducted. If someone had dared to predict this, people would have ridiculed him. At 17 York Road, the residence of Nehru, there was quite a rush. Independent India's first cabinet was being given shape. Many formalities were to be completed. A day earlier, a letter regarding the formation of the cabinet could not be given to Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Nehru sent it to his house that morning. Gandhiji's morning passed in Srinagar as per his routine. Kishori Lal Sethi's house, which had been his home for the last 3 days, was quite spacious. But it was time to leave now. The next stop was supposed to be at Jammu. However, Gandhiji wanted to visit Punjab without stopping there. Therefore, after the prayer got over, Gandhiji had a quick breakfast. Sheikh Abdullah's wife Begum Akbar Jahan and daughter had come since the morning to see him off. Begum Sahiba only wanted that Gandhiji should use his entire influence to get Sheikh Abdullah released from prison. Accordingly, she was repeatedly reminding this to Gandhiji, who was reciprocating with his toothless laugh and hollow mouth. A convoy of vehicles waited outside the door, and the house owner, Kishori Lal Sethi, was present to supervise everything personally. At exactly 10 o'clock, Gandhiji's convoy left for Jammu and thus concluding his first Kashmir tour. Said Harun was just a 19-year-old boy who was devotedly dedicated to Jinnah. Brought up in Karachi, he had come in contact with the Muslim League National Guard on entering college and had later become their loyal worker. He had called a meeting of Muslim youths in a mosque in Clifton, a posh neighborhood in Karachi. Different measures to expel the Hindus from Karachi were being discussed. Jinnah himself was expected to join in at Karachi on August 7th. Preparations for his welcome were also a point on the agenda. All the youth activists of the National Guard were in awe of him. All of them were being trained since the last few days. However, Ghulam Rasool opined that those RSS men give better training. The Muslim League National Guard were convinced that they would face little resistance except for that from RSS workers and some valiant Sikhs. Barrister Muhammad Ali Jinnah was back in his bungalow at 10 Aurangzeb Road after getting over the meeting at the Viceroy's house in the morning. Jinnah had purchased this bungalow in Delhi's Luton's zone in 1938. This expansive bungalow had witnessed many a political meeting in the last 4 or 5 years. Jinnah had realized a few months ago that now his days in Delhi were numbered. Hence, he had sold his bungalow to famous businessman Ramakrishna Dalmia only a month ago. Somewhere within him, Jinnah sensed that his next 2-3 nights were the last few in that bungalow and probably in India as well. Therefore, he wanted some time to pack up. On Thursday, August 7, he was to fly in the afternoon to Karachi by a special Dakota aircraft lent by the Viceroy, Lord Mountbatten, to go to Karachi, to Pakistan, to the country of his dreams. However, he allocated some time to a delegation sent by the Nizam of Hyderabad in the Deccan. The Nizam didn't want accession to India. Merging with Pakistan was not feasible for him, and hence the Nizam wanted to remain independent, an independent Hyderabad state. This nation of Nizam who wanted independence, required a port of conducting its trade with other countries. There was no sea adjacent to the state of Hyderabad. Therefore, this delegation had come with a request to Jinnah to write a letter to Viceroy Mountbatten asking for access for the Hyderabad state, which was going to be independent. Jinnah offered good hospitality to them. The Nizam could not be offended. His kingdom was spread over a large area. He had abundant wealth, and he was a Muslim. This is why Jinnah heard them patiently and sent them off with a promise of writing such a letter. By now, it was almost evening. There were still clouds in the sky. A kind of gloom pervaded the atmosphere. However, in this languished environment, Jinnah was trying to cheer himself with the thought of going to his own country within just 2 days. Far away in Mumbai, at the office of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh near Nas Cinema. The office was a bit small, but that day the entire ambience was visibly full of spirit. Many Swayamsevaks could be seen going to the office. It was evening and lamps were already lit. The Sarsangh Chalak, Sri Golwalkar Guruji, himself was present in the office. A meeting of the RSS functionaries with Guruji had just got over. The RSS Prarthana had also taken place after the meeting. The air was filled with excitement and the Swayamsevaks disbanded themselves from the files. Everyone wanted to meet Guruji. Such informal meetings with Guruji were very engrossing. However, the minds of the Swayamsevaks were filled with shades of anxiety along with curiosity at this meeting. Guruji would be on a 4-day tour of Sindh province from the next day. As per the decision taken regarding the partition on June 3rd, the whole of Sindh province was to go to Pakistan. The thought that Sindh, with its cities like Hyderabad and Nawab Shah, was not to be part of India was very painful. In addition, the Swayamsevaks were concerned at the raging riots in Sindh. The Muslim League's Muslim National Guard had resolved to drive out the Hindus from Sindh before August the 15th. Karachi had become almost like a temporary capital of the soon-to-be created Pakistan. There was a lot of police and military deployment in Karachi. The scale of attacks on Hindus in Karachi was obviously less in numbers. However, instances like abduction of Hindu girls, setting their houses on fire, hacking Hindus to death, if seen individually, were in full swing in cities like Hyderabad, Nawab Shah and in rural areas. Under such circumstances, the RSS volunteers were concerned about Sri Guruji's security and it showed amply on their faces. Sindh was burning. Riots were raging. Muslim gunds were abducting Hindu girls on a large scale with the connivance of the police at many places, and the Sangha volunteers were helping the Hindus caught in such a situation. They were trying to deport them to India in safety. Guruji was planning to visit Sindh in the midst of this raging wildfire of riots in Sindh. It was to be accompanied by Dr. Abaji Thatte to meet the brave Swayamsevaks there. It was 11 o'clock in the night. It was the humid air of August. Most of the Hindu and Sikh occupants of houses in Sindh, Punjab, Balochistan and Bengal were wide awake as it was utterly impossible for anyone to fall asleep in this environment of peril. Young people patrolled outside their houses while old and the aged sat with long faces with arms and ammunitions gathered in their house. Only 10 nights remained for the partition of the country. Village Jaranwala of Lalapur district, the paternal district of Shahid Bhagat Singh. This village resembling city which was wide awake. Hindus and Sikhs were present in large numbers. Therefore, there was optimism that they would not be attacked by Muslims. However, at about 11 o'clock in the night, some 50 to 60 members of the Muslim National Guard came running from the around 3 sides of the town. Almost everyone had sharp swords and knives in their hands. The slogan of Allahu Akbar vented in the air, and this swarm pounded on Sardar Kartar Singh's house. The house was rather a castle which housed 18 family members of the Sardar. All the men stood armed with daggers and swords in their hands to face the enemy. Women also were armed with sticks and knives in their hands. Kartar Singh's eyes were bloodshot with anger. Suddenly, a burning ball of kerosene-soaked cotton came inside and fell exactly on the wooden cot outside. The charpai immediately caught fire. By then, several other balls started landing inside the house. Kartar Singh and his family were left with no alternative but to leave their house. The 11 warriors from Kartar Singh's family rushed outside, flashing their swords and daggers and flames of anger emanating from their eyes amidst chants of Jo Bole So Nihal, Sat Shri Akal. They fought for about half an hour with overt bravery, but 9 of them were literally slashed into pieces. 2 were saved with the help of Hindu villagers who rushed in to help them. The Muslim National Guard members burned alive 4 of the 7 women hiding in the house and abducted 2 young Sikh girls. None knew where Kartar Singh's wife had disappeared. The fear of terror had been established. Such atrocities continued at many places on the midnight of August 4th. The Hindu and Sikh families were bracing themselves to go to Hindustan, leaving everything behind that they had saved. This was August 4th, 1947.